Hey everybody, this is Albert, and a few people have asked me my opinion of the recently released Apostolic Constitution issued by Pope Benedict XVI, basically giving a structure whereby Anglicans may enter the Catholic fold while retaining their own aspects of their own particular traditions, and keep basically in a special structure known as an ordinariate. And they wanted to know my opinion of it, since I'm a traditional Anglican. It makes I will, as you might guess, not be one of those taking advantage of it, but it makes perfectly good sense to me for them to do this. I'm not sure where things will go in the long run, but to me, there are those who I'm sure will take advantage of this. And I just wanted to give just some opinions. These are sort of off-the-cuff remarks, and I'm not going to set them in stone, but they're more or less my thoughts at the moment on the whole issue. Ever since Vatican II, the Catholic Church has sought some sort of union, if not union, at least understanding with the Anglican Communion, whereby they would be moving closer into the same direction, with obviously, I believe in the Catholic mind, the idea of final corporate union being the end result, although that may not have ever really been possible. But I think there was some optimism at various points, which simply is not likely, given the frankly apostasy of certain parts, I should say, of the Anglican Communion, mainly those in the West, and in the Church of England to a degree, the Episcopal Church in the United States to a large degree. Not so, but you don't find that at all. For example, the Anglican churches in Africa and elsewhere, in what you would call the global South, are pretty much very, very Orthodox, very traditional. It's mainly in the West where you have the problems, and those churches are collapsing, whereas other ones are growing. And I think what this demonstrates is, at least with the Anglican Communion, with the Church of England and the Episcopal Church, that the Vatican basically doesn't see any future in communications with them. Frankly, I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that Rowan Williams, the Archbishop of Canterbury, is probably the biggest disaster in the history of Anglicanism. From either side, even if you were wanting to basically get rid of every remaining tenet of Orthodox Christianity, he's a failure. From every direction, he simply is a failure. He doesn't take a stand on anything. He's the single most wishy-washy human being to ever hold a position as the head of a major church, and he's just been a total fiasco from all directions. And I think the Vatican basically has written him off, and it's shown, I think, in the fact that they announced this pretty much when Rowan Williams was supposed to be making some joint appearance with the Catholic Archbishop. They announced it, and it was really quite humiliating for him. Basically, before he was to make this joint statement, they released this, and it was pretty much saying, you don't really matter anymore. And as much as he tried to put a brave face on it, it really was pretty much a slap in the face. Like, you just don't matter. We're just going to go try to take as many of your parishioners as we can, or as many of your congregations as we can, and you just can't do anything about it. And you have to realize the whole nature of Anglicanism, because there are the low church and high church, although there's bishops and there's liturgy. There's some parts of it that are very close to the Catholic Church, and some parts of it that are more or less high church Presbyterians, or high church Baptists in some case. It's a very diverse group. I don't even think the Catholic Church expects them to all join, but what they see is that with certain groups that have broken away, some of the continuing churches in the United States and elsewhere, and with the Forward in Faith movement, which is a much more traditional Anglo-Catholic movement in England and the United States, that there's going to be a number of groups that will congregate, perhaps whole congregations that will want to join the Catholic Church, that basically have had it, and they see that pretty much, in a way, it's actually, to their eyes, I guess it's almost preferable to absorbing the Anglican Communion, because so much of the Anglican Communion, in the West at least, is in ruins. So why would they want the headaches? They have enough problems of their own. They don't need to absorb somebody else's problems. So I see this as more or less the Vatican's way of saying that the Archbishop of Canterbury really doesn't matter anymore. The Episcopal Church in the United States really is irrelevant. We don't care. They're basically written them off for any hopes of ever regaining any sense of orthodoxy. And at this point, it basically becomes as Anglicanism fragments, it becomes an order of where those who are Anglo-Catholic will go, and the Vatican, I believe, is trying to make an easy entryway into the Catholic Church for them, whereby they can pretty much have them in the fold, and as opposed to, let's say, them going to Orthodoxy, which is another possibility. So that's pretty much my take on it. I'm not sure what the acceptance is, but I think it has pretty much ended any of the sort of faux ecumenical relations between Rome and Canterbury, that basically Canterbury has been exposed as utterly meaningless, and the Episcopal Church has been exposed as having no relevance whatsoever in ecumenical dialogue, that at least with any church that has any semblance of orthodoxy, the game's over, pretty much. That's what I think. That's my opinion, and the Vatican is just merely trying to say, before, I think they were pushing back, saying no, they were trying to work things out with the official arm of Anglicanism, the Anglican, the Canterbury, etc. Now they're saying no, that just isn't really worth it. That we're going to go around that and basically pick off congregations who have rejoining us or individuals have rejoining us as a long-term goal anyway. We'll just deal with them directly rather than through Canterbury, which is a lost cause. And that's my view of it. Thank you very much for your time.